Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Communities Committee this evening. Can I just draw everyone's attention, please, to page 3 within the agenda, which sets out details regarding fire safety instructions and the webcasting arrangements. Is that better now? Okay, we'll start again. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can I please draw everyone's attention to page 3 within the agenda, which sets out details regarding fire safety instructions and the webcasting arrangements. Also, apologies that the screen to my left is currently broken, so you have to focus to the one to the right. Before we start this meeting, the Vice Chair has given her apologies, so I'd like to move a motion that Councillor Eaves acts as Vice Chair for the duration of this meeting. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Can we just take that to the vote? Is everyone in agreement, please? Okay, thank you. Councillor Eaves, you are Vice Chair for this meeting. Okay, so item 1, apologies for absence and substitute members and non-members attending. Of Councillor Marriott substituting for Councillor Belton, and Councillor Lowinshaw is sent apologies. Councillor Phil Shaw is in attendance. Item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of June 2025. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Just apologies from Councillor Brewer.
Thank you. Thank you. So item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of June. Are the minutes agreed, please, members? Thank you. Item 3. To receive declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, please? Councillor Eaves?
It's an other registrable interest, as my wife runs a group who has actually applied for funding under the item 7. Could you not hear it? No, sorry. Other registrable interest, as my wife runs a group that has applied under item 7. Thank you. Hang on. Other registrable interest? Yes? Have I got that right this time? A non-registrable interest. I'm sorry, I took advice on this earlier on and I didn't quite get it right, so I do apologise about that. That is what it is, non-registrable interest.
Thank you, Councillor Eaves. Councillor Belton?
Thank you. In relation to item 7 also, I believe I have an other registrable interest because I'm a director of one of the community groups that has applied for some funding. So I believe I have to leave the room, is the advice I've been given. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belton. Are there any others? Councillor Gooding, please.
Listening to what Councillor Belton said, do we all need to, those that have given an interest in funding, do we all need to declare that other interest? Perhaps you could advise me.
Councillor Belton?
I'm happy to clarify my position if it helps. I'm actually a director of one of the groups that's applied for a grant, not part of the priority funding and the community funding. So I think that's separate. Thank you.
Does that help, Councillor Gooding? Thank you. And also myself on item 7, I need to registrable interest for item 7 as I'm a trustee of the Bar & Bus and also work as a community worker at Rochford Methodist Church. And for the item, I will be leaving the meeting. Okay, I'm going to move us on to item 5 now, which is the Chair's report. So it was excellent to see the Freight House given the status as an asset of community value, which has been led by the Rochford Resident Steering Group. Thanks to them and the ongoing work to preserve this building. It was great to see it in use for the excellent Good Life Festival. It's actually in use again tomorrow night, where the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner will be joining us at 7 o'clock to take questions from local residents. So please do join us if you're able. Incidentally, I attended my first Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner panel meeting last week, where the panel received an update on the Essex Fire and Rescue Service annual report. We have already had a good number of applications to the Rochford Priority Fund. However, I would encourage members who have not so far submitted an application to do so and have until the end of October to get those application forms in. Thanks to the ongoing hard work of the housing team, the new housing allocations policy has been well received by our local residents. Those households on the housing waiting list has now dropped from 900 to 500. 221 of those were not our residents and were on waiting lists in other areas. The choice-based letting website is due to go live by the end of the year. I've also attended and chaired a Health and Wellbeing Board and Community Safety Partnership since we last met. A date for your diaries: the new venue for the Community Hub, which for space reasons now has moved out of the Mega Centre and into Raleigh Methodist Church, will be having an open afternoon on the 7th of October from 2 to 4:30. And finally, a big thank you to Danielle for her ongoing work to raise awareness of breast cancer and for her brilliant bra bunting making event yesterday. I understand that Kim wanted to give a few updates on the Good Life Festival and RAVs as well. Kim, if I can hand over to you, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few more details on the Good Life Festival. So we had over 130 people attending the event, together with partners, so the 17 organisations that were there, which included RAVs, Kinder Essex, the Rochford PCN, Revive Community Supermarket, and residents had also, there were 3 talks on the main stage, so that was from the clinical pharmacist, Essex Fire and Rescue Service and Kinder Essex. And 50 warm bags were given away, which included warm knitted items, soup, mugs, and a packet of biscuits and colouring books, together with a £10 grocery voucher. So we're looking to repeat this type of event later on in the year. Just a quick update from RAVs. They've got the community support. Is that better? Oh, God. I'll try not to shout into the microphone. So we're looking to repeat that kind of event later on in the year. Regarding the RAVs update, they've still got a community support advisor, so they're based at Southend Hospital to support discharge. So that's 5 days a week, and identify any community and social needs that those residents may have. So that includes medicine collection, social isolation, etc. This is to prevent readmissions to hospital. This runs until the end of March 26, and they're currently working across 10 wards at the hospital. There's a winter support for families. That's funding from EALC for food support between October and December, working with local schools and partner organisations to support the vulnerable in the district. Dementia Working Group is meeting regularly, and there's a mapping exercise of activities that are currently available. There is a report that's going to scrutiny and performance on the 2nd of October, which has got more details in there on the action plan. Works are in progress to do a volunteer celebration event or events in June next year, so we're just working out with RAVs around what kind of event do the volunteers want at the end of the day, and whether we can just piggyback on existing events just to promote the Volunteers Week in June. Your Essex community funding, so RAVs has received some funding to deliver some training sessions for the sector by the end of March, and there's also development of a CEO forum which is being established to share learning and opportunities, and marketing will be shared throughout their weekly bulletin and on social media. The New Steps Bereavement Friendship Group is also celebrating its 8th birthday, and that's all delivered by volunteers. And a date for your diary from RAVs is the Community Carol Service on the 7th December at Holy Trinity Church, Rectory Garth. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Are there any questions, members, please? Yes, Councillor Newport.
Thank you, Chair. In the meeting the last meeting, and it is in the minutes, I requested an update on the dementia wristbands. There's also on the action sheet an update will be put in the Chair's report for September. I can't see it in the Chair's report. Is that an oversight on my part, or is it just not there? Thank you.
Kim, can I ask you to respond, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have working with RAVs at the moment to allocate the wristbands out, so they're working through the list that we currently had. I think they're halfway through that list at the moment to get those wristbands out to people. What they want to do... Horrendous. What they want to do is actually provide a bit more wraparound support while allocating the wristbands out.
Thank you. Did you want to come back?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Kim. But it would be nice to actually have an update and a report on this, because it has been ongoing for over 2.5 years, and we've never had an official report come back. Originally it was the Mega Centre were working on it. Now it's RAVs, but that's the first I've heard that RAVs are working on it. So it would be nice to have some official update and report on that, if I can request that, please. Thank you.
Kim, did you want to come back?
Yes, I'll just say that I'll get a report from RAVs and I'll send that out separately.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions, please? Otherwise, that report is for noting. Is that noted, please, members? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move us on to item 6, the 2025-26 Q1 Performance Report. The report begins on page 79. This report informs members of the performance of the Council at the end of Q1 2025-26 in relation to the Communities and Homes theme of the Council's corporate plan, our Rochford, our plan 2024-2026. Are there any questions from members, please? No questions? Are we happy with the report as it is? Okay, thank you, members. This report is for noting. Is that noted? Thank you. Now going to move on to item 7, and those members that need to step outside of the meeting, please do so now. Thank you.
Item 7. The report begins on page 93. The report seeks approval of £28,791.50 to be allocated out of the £30,000 allocation to the 17 organisations as set out in Appendix 8. Any questions from members? No questions? Mike has given me a little bit here to read out, which he welcomes this report and thanks the officers for sifting and scoring the applications. I'm sure we all join him in that. Apologies for the delay in getting this funding agreed. The committee was due to be held on the 4th of September, but due to a motion that was submitted to full council, this meeting had to be moved. Even though the motion was subsequently dropped, these grants have still been delayed in reaching local groups. Officers did contact the groups and apologise for the delay. Mike also had discussion with officers on 2.4, page 95. Those scoring under 50 were not felt to be strong enough projects to take forward. I believe there was consideration on recontacting them on that matter. So is there anyone who has any further questions following that?
So can I just ask,
Councillor Booth.
what will happen to that little bit of money that's left over from it's about £1,500, 2,000?
I've only just stepped into this, so I think, Kim, can you answer that?
There's a recommendation 3, so basically to allocate that money, in consultation with the Interim Director of Community and Health and the Chairman of Communities Wellbeing and Housing Committee to allocate the remaining grant funding to other agreed community projects.
Okay, you want to come back, Councillor Booth?
Yep. So I'm just wondering, with those that took the time to put a bid in, but that bid wasn't successful, have they had any feedback on how their bids could be successful?
We'll provide feedback to those that have been successful, obviously, to say that they've been granted the money, but also to those that are successful to say, here's how, this is the areas where you could improve on as part of your funding application, and here's some other funding pots that might be available for you to submit your project to.
So would they have the opportunity for a second go for that remaining amount of money or not?
Potentially there's another round of community fund or priority fund funding. So they've got an opportunity at that point in time, but I would also direct them to other pots that they might be able to apply to if they need the money a bit earlier.
Thank you for the clarification.
I have asked on a couple of occasions now for this PA to be sorted, so hopefully they'll get on with that fairly soon. My understanding from the brief conversation that I had before the meeting is that those who didn't meet the standard, their bids weren't strong enough, and therefore we couldn't support them on that basis. So if I'm right on that, yep. Thank you, Kim. Okay, I'll move the recommendation set out on page 94 of the report then. If we can take these on block, are we okay with taking these on block? Yep, okay, so recommendation 1 to approve the allocation of funding from the Rochford Community Fund as set out in Appendix A. Recommendation 2 to approve that the underspend of £1,208.50 from the Rochford Community Fund excuse me, be allocated to a future pot of funding together with any underspend from the Rochford Priority Fund to provide an additional round of funding to be launched later in the year. Recommend 3, delegated authority is given to the Interim Director of Community and Health in consultation with the Chairman of Communities Wellbeing and Housing to allocate remaining grant funding to other agreed community projects. Those in favour, please raise a hand. I need a seconder, sorry. Phil Shaw, Councillor Phil Shaw, thank you. So we have had the vote, so I take it no one's changed their mind. So that's unanimous. Thank you. Would someone like to let the guys know her outside? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, members. So moving on then with the agenda to item 8, Public Spaces Protection Order. This report begins on page 113. The purpose of this report is for members to consider progressing the introduction of a Public Spaces Protection Order to protect against vehicular nuisance and to seek approval for public consultation to commence on the contents of the draft order, including the schedules and maps contained therein set out in Appendix A. Members, are there any questions, please? Councillor Newport.
Thank you, Chair. If I may throw you to Mr. Brace, what's the, we've got in here about the 6 weeks. What were the dates of the 6 weeks? When's the commencement of the consultation period? Sorry, it may be an oversight. I couldn't see it.
No, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes, it will be a 6-week consultation period. We haven't got the start date yet because we're waiting for the consultation to be prepared to go out, but I'll share that with members before it goes out. Okay, but I'll confirm the date once we've got it in the calendar because the budget consultation is currently running, so we're trying to time it to make sure it's before Christmas, not at Christmas, because we want to get it in place by March, so we'll need to get it done this side of Christmas, so it's likely to be in November that it will start. Did
you want to come back?
May. So we're hoping, if just for clarification for my own mind. So we're hoping to get the consultation beginning around November this year, because as you're aware, this has been an ongoing issue for like some time, so it would be quite keen to get it on. And it's really good to actually have a log of some of the incidents that's actually been reported to the police about the antisocial behaviour with the street racing. So I welcome that report. And as you've said about the dates, that you will let us know when the consultation will begin, that will be most helpful, and I look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Newport. Councillor Gooding, please.
Thank you, Chair. Whilst the draft PSPO covers the A1245 corridor and key routes such as Hall Road, Watery Lane, local reports indicate persistent antisocial behaviour involving e-bikes in Hawkwell, which I have reported to officers and to the police. Can officers clarify how locations are selected for inclusion in the PSPO? As I've just said, I escalated the complaints regarding Hawkwell, and can Hawkwell be considered in the consultation process? As I'm advised, some of the perpetrators reside in this area.
Thank you, Councillor Gooding. Paul, you able to come back, please?
For a PSPO to be in place, there has to be sufficient evidence to take that forward. Hence, the report was listed for what we've got of all the incidents that have been reported to the police. What I can say is that it's by no means anywhere near the amount of occasions that vehicle nuisance has been happening in those locations. The e-bikes has not been raised with me before the email that I received yesterday. It's not been reported to me by anybody or directly to me. So I can check with the police as to how many reports there have been regarding it. But it would have to be on evidence base. If it's happened enough times, then a PSPO, it has to be proportionate, putting a PSPO in place. That said, I will discuss with the police what action we can take. It was a CSP meeting last week. If I'd have had it last week, we could have discussed it there. But certainly I'll pick up with the new Chief Inspector as to what is happening around that, and then I'll happily report back.
Okay, thank you. If we could pick that up as an action, please, for the next CSP meeting, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Councillor Belton.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to say, I welcome seeing this report come forward, and as Councillor Lisa Newport said, it's really useful to see the data broken down that way. I know this is something Councillor James Newport was quite passionate about seeing go forward, certainly in the Downhill and Rorath area, because we get persistent complaints at that end of the district as well. So I welcome it coming forward, and I'd like to see this happen sooner rather than later. And to Councillor Lisa Newport's point, getting that consultation out as soon as practically possible will be very useful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Belton. I echo those sentiments in terms of seeing the consultation out as soon as possible so we can implement this legislation. Councillor Eaves?
A bit of advice that I was given by the police some little while ago is that we should encourage our residents to report any incidents, because although it may feel to them like nothing's being done, every time it's reported, it goes on a statistic which goes towards this kind of list that we've got in front of ourselves. So it is useful, even if it feels not, to actually do that.
Thank you, Councillor Eaves. Are there any other questions or comments from members, please? No? Okay. Thank you again, Paul, for this piece of work, and I look forward to the consultation starting shortly. I will move the recommendations set out on pages 114 of the report. Can I take these on block, please, members? Yes, agreed. Thank you. So recommendation 1, that the public consultation be undertaken on the proposal to introduce a public spaces protection order to protect against vehicular nuisance for a period of 6 weeks as detailed in this report. Recommendation 2, that the terms of the draft public spaces protection order as detailed in this report and appended at Appendix A. And recommendation 3, that a report will be brought to a future meeting of this committee to consider the outcome of the public consultation and whether the proposed public spaces protection order should be introduced. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Eaves, thank you. Members, those for, please, could you show your hands? Thank you. I believe that was unanimous. Thank you, members. Okay, thank you, members. I'm going to move us on to item 9 now, the Community Safety Partnership Plan 2025-26. The report begins on page 131. Under the Crime and Disorder Act 1998, community safety partnerships have a statutory responsibility to work together in formulating and implementing strategies to tackle local crime and disorder in the area, and to have in place a partnership action plan setting out the priorities on an annual basis. My thanks to Paul and his team for pulling this strategy together. Members, are there any questions or comments, please? Councillor Lisa Newport, thank you.
Just a point in the report, Appendix A, page 138, Councillor Michael Webb, Rochford Borough Council. May want to change that, thank you.
Well spotted, thank you. Members, any other comments or questions? In which case, I'll move the recommendation set out on page 13 of the report. Recommendation 1, that the committee endorses the Community Safety Partnership Action Plan for 2025-26 that details the priorities and actions that the partnership to deliver, or for the partnership to deliver. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Eaves, thank you. And we vote by a show of hands. Those in favour, please. Thank you, members. That is unanimous. Okay, I'm going to move us on to item 10 now, the Leisure Services Update, and the report begins on page 161. I'm going to invite Dan from Everyone Active to come and join us as well, please. Thank you, Dan. This report and presentation provides a 6-month update from Everyone Active on the performance at Clements Hall and Rayleigh Leisure Centre since the commencement of the contract on the 1st of April 2025. I'm now going to hand over to Dan, who's going to talk us through the report. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much. The joys of not shouting. Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you all. We will talk through very briefly and as succinctly as I can in terms of... I didn't work first time. We'll talk through how the last 6 months have been for us. We'll give you some insight in terms of some of the numbers that we've got, some usage, conversation around social value, what we're doing in the community, events, and what the next 6 months look like. From a insights perspective, one of the things that Everyone Active does is we do a Sporting Champions programme. We're very fortunate that we have 10 individuals that are involved in that, ranging from triathletes to swim competitors that are accessing the centre for free, getting various different coaching days, and obviously working towards becoming elite level sports participants. From a total participation perspective, we don't have any historical information. So the information that we've got is just what we've seen. So we've just seen over 201,000 visits in total, the majority of which are coming from Clements Hall at 150,000 visits and 51,000 at Rayleigh. One of the things that we kind of keep an eye on is in terms of the number of unique users. So this comes from the Moving Communities report, which is a little bit further in the document, and that's just over 9,100 unique users. So it's brilliant that we've got lots of people that are coming to the centre very often, but what we want to do is kind of look at the spread of what that looks like from a number of unique users so that we can kind of maximise getting out there into the community. From a swimming perspective, we've had over 101,000 visits, and from group exercise, we've seen a very positive uplift with 41,615 visits. Since we started the contract, we have an Everyone Active card, although that's now kind of gone online. We've had 7,147 people that have signed up for that card, which is really positive. One of the key things that we focus on, and I appreciate that sometimes with the ageing populations that sometimes we have locally, not everybody has apps, not everybody can pay by things by phone. We see that a large majority of people are interacting with either their bookings or their accounts online, and at the moment our kind of drive towards balancing that digital interaction is around 83% of our interactions are coming through our app or online. From a customer satisfaction perspective, this is kind of just dropped. So there are, without a doubt, some areas that we need to kind of work on in terms of doing that. From a fitness experience, with the investment that we saw going into the gyms at both Rowley and at Clements Hall, is really positive. We've seen that 82.4% of the responses have come back positive, scoring us good or above in terms of fitness experience. Value for money remains something that is a challenge across the leisure industry, and we see that at 66.7%. Customer satisfaction very positively is at 80%. We obviously naturally want to see some of those things increase. From a net promoter perspective, the industry average is just around 25. So we just see that dip slightly. We feel that some of the kind of individual feedbacks that we've seen may well be kind of a legacy of previous customer experiences pre-April. One of the things, and I spoke to various different faces that I recognise from earlier on this summer, we offer supported memberships. We've got 26 people that are on free access with Parkinson's memberships, and we've got 9 people that are part of our cared experience memberships of what we offer. That's one of our aspirations, that we certainly double, if not treble, those kind of opportunities in Rochford. Certainly, I'd love to say by the end of the year, but if we don't aim high, we could aim low and miss. From a swimming perspective, one of the key metrics that we've got is looking at the number of people that are able to swim 25 metres, which is a key stage level 2 requirement. In the past 6 months, we've had 258 of people who have achieved that level that are still in our swim scheme. From a positive perspective and the impact that we've got, 92% of our colleagues live in Rochford and the surrounding areas. We've got a high population of female colleagues at about 65%. From a rackets perspective, we've seen just over 21,000 visits from April to August. And from a community wellbeing perspective, this is just a bit of an insight in terms of some of the challenges that we've set ourselves and the partnerships that we're looking at. So in terms of things that have started this month, we have started a partnership with My Weight Matters, and our ambitions are is that certainly by the end of April, we've got 60 regular participants that are involved in the programme My Weight Matters. This month, we've just launched our exercise on referral programme. We have to call it GP referrals because otherwise sometimes people don't quite understand the connotations of that. So far, we've had 8 referrals already. So if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be very disappointed at seeing 50 at the end of this financial year. We're also focusing in terms of embedding practices around disabled people and making sure participation comes in. The council very generously have worked on some funding for the Pod Point 4 system. And my understanding is that's going to be installed later in November, with future developments there for a change in places to be set up as part of a wider development. One of the other things that we're introducing to Clements Hall is a musculoskeletal programme. Apologies, my graphic skills are not that great, so you can't quite see the Good Boost programme. But we are starting a programme where we will work in partnership with physios and local health professionals that can recommend people that have got joint problems. I might actually have to do that myself to help the back, but I guess sitting down at a desk doesn't help me that much. But those are one of the things we're doing. One of the focuses that we've got is in terms of just making sure we're getting out into the community and understanding neighbourhood needs and wants, so that when we kind of get more involved with the community activities, we've got a greater chance of success of understanding what those in our community want to do from an activity and a wellbeing perspective. From a demographic perspective, I appreciate that is a bit of death by statistics, but it gives you a relative overview in terms of the BME split, our age demographics, all of which what we tend to find is that from some of the research that we've done is typically the participation levels of over 45s is somewhat higher than what we've got in some of our other areas. In terms of by demographic and postcodes, happy to field questions in relation to that. It gives you a breakdown in terms of where those customers are coming from in relation to the local population. And in terms of seeing that, the vast majority of people are kind of coming from Rochford, Southend, and Leon C. From a social value perspective, one of the things that we've done in the leisure industry has been a situation to kind of define what the value of being active is provided. So working with Sheffield Hallam University, Experience, and a company called Full Global, we share our data on a monthly basis that is non-GDPR, so it doesn't say names, and that basically goes and breaks down the social value based on customers' participation levels, where they live, gender, postcode, and the duration of their activity. That's then broken down into their demographic, their mosaic profiling, and gives us this rather interesting set of data. The purpose of which probably tells us some things that we already know. We know that being active is good for you. And what that does is that breaks that down to be in a situation that we can start to look at what the social value calculator gives us, certainly from April. Again, we don't yet have the information from pre-April to be able to kind of compare this to historical information, but certainly looking around at some of the other sites that we work with, we're seeing an average social value of £146 per person, of which that's broken down into physical and mental health, subjective wellbeing, individual development, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you can kind of see 33,000 for injuries, because sometimes people do overdo it or injure themselves. From a people's outcomes perspective, what is most welcome from the information that we've got here is the breakdown between active and fairly active. Fairly active would probably best describe myself at the moment is that I have all the best intentions in the world, but I don't yet get to do my 150 minutes a week. Active is people that are doing more than the 30 minutes 5 times a week. And what that's really good at seeing across the demographic that we've seen in Rochford is that that's a fairly healthy split between the number of people that are active and the number of people that are fairly active. And what you see from a social value perspective, naturally, the more active the people are, the greater their social value generated is from that. Our challenge over the next 6 months is to kind of see that increase and see that social value calculator number increase by the value in terms of getting out into some of those hard to reach areas and starting to reach more of our communities that might not yet really be able or interested in being active just yet. From the membership scheme, certainly from April, one of the big focuses that we've had is teaching the life skills in Learn to Swim. Obviously, with one pool at Clements Hall, we have seen a number of operational issues kind of pre-April. We've seen the numbers grow. At the moment, it's only by 62, but it's a positive sign that we've kind of kept the swimmers that have been with us since April growing and swimming with us. From a fitness membership perspective, which is the graphic in the top left-hand corner, the numbers are all fairly positive, with marginal growth gains certainly over this last 6 month period. Naturally, the health and fitness industry does see an increase in September, and so far we're having a positive month so far, and then after Christmas is when it starts to get a lot busier. Just a reflection in terms of the launch, it does feel like some time ago that we've had the launch. Give a few ideas in terms of things that we've got. There's a number of positive things that we've worked very well with the council with. So you'll see in the top left-hand corner, blended lifeguarding. So the pool is now safer, so we now use an assistant in terms of a digital tracking system to ensure that the swimmers are as safe as they possibly can be. Naturally, that's still supported by a human, making sure that people are doing the right things at the right times. At Clements Hall, we've also installed a pool cover. So the pool there, which is a 25-metre 8-lane pool, uses an incredible amount of energy and heat. The idea being is that at night that pool cover goes on, the pool pumps ramp down, and we should start to see a significant reduction in terms of our energy and carbon emissions from a leisure centre. Also, we've seen the commission of the SPS funding that happened kind of midway through the year. So there were some lovely PV arrays on the roof, and are generating a very decent return back in terms of the level of energy in kilowatts that are being generated on average across that period, which is hugely positive to see. A very quick overview in terms of what the gym refurb looked like at Clements Hall. It does look hugely popular, and at certain times is very busy in terms of seeing a whole host of people. Rayleigh, not to be kind of left behind, we've invested in new LED lighting for the bowls hall. It's certainly bright, but certainly very energy efficient, and we should see our energy reduction in there drop by about 75%. The squash courts, again, knowing the dry side site that we've got at Rayleigh, we're more than acutely aware that for these activity areas, it's vital that these lights are as efficient as they can. There is still some work to be done to the glass back courts, which we're waiting for some contractor to come in and fix the glass back courts at Rayleigh, which should happen, I can't say by the end of this month because that's tomorrow. It will certainly happen later on in October. The gym development at Rayleigh, you get a good idea in terms of the space that we've got there, and that's certainly a hugely populated area. It's very busy this morning this afternoon when I left the site, and this morning when I arrived. From a community perspective, one of a number of things that we've done over the summer, Everyone Active has a program called Everyone is Family. The idea being is that we offer sessions for £2 to drive value for money for different users to come in. So something that goes out on, I hate to use the word mum's net because I think my wife uses that for parenting advice far too often, but that might say a bit much about me. The idea being is that it's value for money. We get out into different areas to try and encourage people to get and use the centre as a family experience throughout the summer holidays. In honesty, we've kind of done reasonably well with the number of bookings, whilst we've kind of seen just over 340 people coming into those bookings. Certainly next year our ambitions will be to see that double and be in a situation that we introduce a number of pool-based sessions to maximise that. From a Healthy Hub perspective, we've done a number of community engagement sessions at Clements Hall, which have been well received, working in partnership with the Rayleigh and District Primary Healthcare Trust. One of the things that we're also doing is we've several meetings with the local dementia awareness groups to try and be in a situation that we set ourselves up to become dementia hubs in the community, so that we kind of make sure that we're getting across the neurodiversity spectrum and maximise the number of people that feel comfortable and safe using our facilities. From an open day perspective, I really probably should have updated this morning. We've held 2 community open days. So Rayleigh's community open day was the week before last on the 20th. We had just over 185 participants that came into that session. And we did that in aid of breast cancer awareness and raised just under £150 for that. Clements Hall had their open day on Saturday. One of the other things that we're doing, just coming up whilst we're talking about Parkinson's, is that on the 14th of October we've got a Parkinson's open day where every 6 months we're opening up the facilities for anybody who suffers with Parkinson's or their supporting family members to see whether we can kind of generate a wider community support network from that. In terms of Clements Hall's open day over the weekend, we had a variety of different things from rookie lifeguards. A very popular day. We ended up with just over 300 people coming into those activities. Lots of face painting, lots of free activities. Hugely well enjoyed. And the sign of more to come. From an environmental perspective, I've kind of already mentioned the impact in terms of what we've got from the solar panels. There's some information that we share with the council. One of the things that we're targeting is that we see over the last 5 months our recycling rates is something that we are very keen to improve. At the moment they're hovering around 20 to 23%. One of the things that we kind of want to be certainly is getting that close to 40% over the next couple of 6 months and driving that through, just engaging with colleagues to make sure that bins are emptied into the right place and we've got the right bins in the right locations. From future objectives, I've mentioned very briefly about the Good Brief programme that we've got. That's already started at Clements Hall. My Way, What Matters, and certainly from an Everyone Active perspective, we will be in a situation in November where we'll be running a programme where age is just a number. And whilst that sounds very obvious what that's about, it's just trying to make sure that people are not defined by their age, are defined by what they can do and what they're capable of doing. And our key focus with that is bringing people into the centre. One of the things that we're doing at both Rayleigh and at Clements Hall is generating and trying to foster a community cafe idea. So the idea being with the space that we've got community groups that can kind of come in, whether that's people with long-term health conditions or whether that's just social groups with people swimming with the same children, to be in a situation that it becomes a space in a community location where people can come, be active and interact with people. One of the scary statistics that we've kind of seen in the last couple of months is socialisation is going to become a bigger risk factor in terms of health than smoking was. And one of the things that we want to do is be in that situation that we drive that. One of the things that we're also introducing in October is a quiet swim session, which is a swim session where the capacity is lower than what it would normally be set to. The idea being is there's no, it sounds awful to say, there's no kids sessions going on in the learner pool, but it's just something quiet where if people have got neurodiversity or want to be in a session where it's not as busy, for whatever those reasons are, they've got an ability to come to those sessions, whether that's swimming. We're going to do a very similar system in the gym. And whilst it may well feel eerie on the first couple of times that people have been there, it gives people a different chance to escape. We've kind of spoke very briefly about our exercise referral programme. There's a little bit more of a synopsis about that in the penultimate page, and a very lovely write-up in the local newspaper in relation to the colleague that's launching our exercise referral programme. And these are the kind of things that we're trying to do over the next couple of months, is be in a situation that we get some positive news stories out there into the community. People get an opportunity to understand that the people using the centres are like them, and try and encourage more people into the centres to become more involved in whether that's the exercise referral programme, whether that's Good Boost, or whether that's just playing badminton and coming along to one of the social sessions that we've got. From future objectives, one of the things that we're looking at doing is just targeting inclusive sessions for neurodiversity user groups, developing a senior and wellbeing programme for target area groups. So one of the things that we're looking at is whether we can be in a situation that with the age is just a number programme. Off the back of that, we look at then launching senior session mornings. We've already got U3A that use the centres and some hugely popular sessions, amalgamating that into a package so that it doesn't necessarily match. Well, we create a specific set of marketing and programming for target user groups. We're also looking at pool programming to try and make sure that we can make the most use of the pool space that we've got, and that development of the community neighbourhood programme. We've had some very interesting meetings recently with ATF around a potential partnership for Great Wakering, and looking at taking that across various different other areas. At the moment, that's kind of progressing quite nicely, and I don't want to curse it by saying too much about that, but we're certainly impressed with some of the things that they do there, and kind of keen to build on some of the successes that they've got and work in partnership. From a building and environmental perspective, we're looking at energy efficiencies across both buildings. You know, they're very large sites in terms of both Rowley and Clements Hall, is making sure that we're in a situation that they're as efficient as we can get them. Be in a situation as well with the building investments is to look at improvements around the roof, air handling and heating at both of those sites. In terms of the medium term, one of the things that we're looking at is the change in village and poolside refurbishments at Clements Hall, and expanding the gym offering at Rowley. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk. Any questions from anyone else?
Thank you, Dan, for your... I'll wait till we go back on. Thank you. Thank you, Dan, for your presentation, and congratulations on all the excellent work that's been undertaken since you took over the contract in April. Members, are there any questions or comments for Dan, please? Councillor Eaves?
Might be a little bit early to ask, but do you have any idea of percentage saving or financial saving that you're achieving through the solar panels? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any other questions or comments, members? Councillor Belton?
Thank you. Just to echo your comments, thank you for everything you're doing. It's really nice to come to this committee and get this update and lots of information. I'll be taking it away and reading it properly because there was a lot to absorb there. But I look forward to seeing what the next 6 months brings. And I've had lots of good feedback from residents. My own son goes to the gym every day there now, and he's always saying good things. So it's nice to see improvement. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belton. Are there any other comments or questions? I've just got one for myself. Just earlier you mentioned about going out into the community. Could you just sort of expand on that a little bit, please? What do you mean by that? How far into the community? How wide geographically? And you mentioned about Great Wakering. I was going to ask, Have you got any plans for Great Waker? And you've mentioned ATF. Are you able to expand on that any more, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so if I take Great Wakering first, one of the things that we want to do with the community neighbourhood project is get out into some of those areas where people might not necessarily have bus routes, might not necessarily have time, might have issues in terms of getting to the centres, but it's to be in a situation that we try and come to them. So one of the things that we're looking at is the opportunities of going into doctor surgeries and delivering things like seated exercise sessions, whether that's just something that can be done to some of the long-term conditions. We've done that in various other contracts that I work in, and that's been hugely popular at actually trying to change the perception of what, when we talk about exercise, when we talk about the gym, we all kind of have a stereotypical view in our mind of what that looks like, but sometimes just taking that out into the community and doing something in a space that people are familiar with. One of the challenges that we've got is certainly in Great Waker, and I was certainly impressed with the volume of work that ATF have kind of done in there and the programs that they've got there. So one of the conversations that we've kind of picked up with them is around active neighbourhoods and to try and be in a situation that we look at becoming active hubs in villages. So there's obviously a lot of people that have got aerobics, have got Pilates and yoga there. What we don't want to do is kind of damage the work that other people are doing in the community already. So it's trying to find that fine balance between where that gap in the market is or how we can help kind of support that with ATF in terms of the partnerships that we're looking at going forward from there. And it's just trying to understand in greater depth what some of the communities are looking for in terms of activities, where that is, what those locations are from there. So,
Brilliant. Thank you, Dan. That sounds very positive. Members, any other questions or comments, please? No? Okay, well, thank you again, Dan, for joining us and for the excellent work that you're doing so far. We look forward to a future update at some point, I'm sure. Thank you very much. Members, this report was for noting. Can we note that, please? Thank you. I'm going to move us on to item 11 now, the committee work programme. This report begins on page 165. And this report sets out the work programme for the committee for 2025-26 municipal year. Members, are there any questions or comments, please? Councillor Newport.
Thank you, Chair. Just to ensure that we do get that report about the dementia wristbands at the next meeting, is that okay to put that on there, please?
Yeah. Can we add that as an action in the minutes, please, to do that?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other comments or question, members? No. In which case, can I ask that we note this report, members? Noted that the committee notes and endorses its work programme for the remainder of the municipal year and considers any further items to be noted. We've noted that. I believe that concludes our business for this evening, members. Thank you very much for joining us and safe travel home.